And we're coming back to you live from our homes. I'm Sean.
And I'm Zach.
Ah, feels good to say it. You know what I mean? Like it.
I know,
Like
I've
I
said it
kind
the
of.
last couple times,
You
you
you've been
gotta
saying
step
a
up
lot.
your game.
You've been saying it a lot this semester. I'm okay with that. I've got no issues with that. But I will say that there's like the coming back like it like rips out of my throat. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Oh, you
ugh,
you
like it's.
for sure do it better. I never commit as hard as you do. I just say the words, to fill the time. Audience, you won't get
Uh,
that reference until you listen to the very end of this episode, so stay
and then
tuned.
you will feel very, very uncertain about how to feel about that entire concept. So there is that. At least I hope you do, because if you already have like a perfect idea of how to feel about the concept, I worry for you. If I'm being honest, I worry for you.
What? So you're saying you worry for me?
I worry for you, Zach.
Okay. Well,
I
you
worry about you
shouldn't.
all the time. Zach, I always worry about you. You want to know why? It's not because
What?
we're friends. It's not because like you're someone I care about and want the best for. It's none of that. I don't care about any of
That's
that.
fine.
It's because you're just so stupid. It's like, how do you live with
Yeah.
that? How do you? I'm so
Listen,
sorry.
listen. I have to live with myself on a daily basis. How do you think I feel? You think I've made it this far through college because of my brains? No, I've been kissing my professors, each and every one of them.
Right on the lips, baby.
Right on the list.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I apologize for that. That came from a mean, I don't know where it came from. It was a mean
Sean,
thing to
you
say,
don't you
and I'm
don't
sorry.
have to apologize for the truth. It's fine.
Now, see, and this is the problem though, is because I say something like that, and I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. That's really mean. And then you lean into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my fault. He never used to lean into these things until I came around.
And now I lean into everything. I have simply accepted it as a part of myself.
There was a time where it was kind of split 50-50. I feel like, where you were halfway leaning into some things, and then the other half the time you were like, well, I never, like
Good
that.
sir!
Exactly. But now it doesn't feel like that anymore.
Here's the problem. I feel like if anybody else said that to me, I might be taken aback. But because I just expect it to come from you, and I expect it to
Uh,
be as... I'm just not surprised anymore, Sean.
so you just expect your friends to insult you and think the worst of you?
Well, specifically you, but yes, everyone else as well.
Interesting. So, what does that say about the friends you have? I'm just interested.
Hey, look, I didn't choose my friends. Kind of got stuck with them.
Didn't you?
Well,
I'm
here's the
sorry.
problem. Past me chose them, and now future me is
Oh,
stuck with them.
dude, dealing with past you stupid choices.
I
What a
do.
man, that's real. That's real.
Man,
Let's talk. I feel
oh,
like we
oh,
talk a lot about. Oh, am I still here?
yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
You're fine.
I feel like we talk a lot about young Sean. But we don't
As we
talk
should.
enough. We don't talk enough about young Zach.
There's
How's young Zach
there's
doing?
there's not a lot going on with young Zach. Let's be honest. He was just a big old bully. He bullied Sean. Um, a
But Sean
lot
probably bullied
actually.
Zach.
But was it bullying of its revenge? Probably. But did he deserve it? Again, probably.
Don't we're spinning in circles right now. It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna get somewhere eventually.
young Zach. What do I think about young Zach?
Yeah, tell let's this is like a real question like I feel like a therapist would ask.
I know.
Think about yourself when you were 10. How do you feel about that person?
I don't even know how 10-year-old me acted, I feel like. Like, dude, young
I have
Zach just wanted to play video games and not go to school.
So not
That's
too different from.
basically no, literally nothing's changed. Change is a lie. Everything I've talked about on this podcast.
Oh
No, look at
shoot!
the proof. I'm still here playing video
Oh
games. I
no!
still don't want to go to school. But now
Oh
there's just an
shoot!
extra layer of work, and you know what? I don't want to do that either,
Wow. Huh. Do you
bro.
think?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. This is
No,
changing the
actually-
topic completely. So go
No,
ahead.
no. Actually, what I was gonna say wasn't gonna be very good at all. So you go ahead, please. I want to forget what I said.
Anyways, moving right along because young Zach's not important. Let's talk about present Zach, or slightly in the past Zach, and by that I mean
Okay,
like
slightly
just a
in the
couple
past.
hours ago. Okay, present Zach is
Okay.
still feeling the effects from past Zach, present past Zach. So
Wow. Okay. This won't get confusing.
no. It all came back to me because
Especially, sorry, this especially won't get confusing if I, have editing Sean say something who will be the present Sean until later on when we re-listen to this, and then he will be the past Sean again.
I like that a lot. I can't wait for
It's a
future
lot.
Sean to be past Sean and at the same time present Sean. So, anyways, it all this whole topic came back because you baited me into talking about my past, and you baited me into bringing up work. So, Sean, work today.
Yeah.
Man, I have some complaining to do.
Yeah. Great.
I thought it was. I looked at my schedule. I'm like, oh, I know all these students. I know what they're working on. This is gonna be fine. Turns out, spoilers, it was not
It was
fine. For the first student comes in, everything's great, everything's dandy. She leaves. I'm like, awesome. Second student comes in, and then she comes, she sits down, we're talking. I'm ready to get started, and then the owner, my boss, comes over, and she's like, oh, by the way, Zach. We're gonna be changing what we're working on. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, no big deal. This is fine.
The dog in the fire meme.
no, literally. Well, here's the thing. I'm like, we're still doing reading and stuff. Like, it's not gonna be bad. And then also she's being like, yeah, we're for the first hour, I just want you to help her with her homework, and then for the last hour, you'll just do things as normal. I'm like, okay, sure, I can do homework. I'm like, we I got started. I'm like, all right, well, what? Her name's not actually. She goes by. Kind of fun.
You good?
Anyways, I
Probably
asked
best
her,
not to say children's names on the show,
well,
anyways.
yeah, well, it's a good thing they have a nickname. Sean, bleep out the nickname 3 times. I just said. Thanks, Sean. Man, future Sean got me. I like future Sean. Present Sean, I don't know how you feel about me giving you work, but it's fine because you don't matter in the story. Well, I'm on
Thanks,
one.
man.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Really appreciate that. It feels good to not matter.
Hey, if nihilism hasn't taught you that already, I don't know what else I can do for you. You're lost cause.
Oh, it is one of those episodes, except for it's coming from you, which is a little rare. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. It's because what happened today. I'm getting it. So, anyways, I ask her what kind of homework she's working on. And she says, I have math homework. I'm like, instantly, I'm like, oh, fetch me. She is an older student. So they're doing more complicated math. They pull it out, and dude, I died inside. I died inside when I saw. I have not done this in probably 5 years.
Yeah.
It was we had to do graphing, but with from cosine and sine.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Without
Yes.
a calculator.
Oh yeah.
Oh my fetch. I looked at that, I was like, I know I learned this. I don't remember a single step of how to do this nonsense. Luckily, we were having a hard time getting the printer working. So I got her started on her reading, and then I was scrambling to get the printer working while at the same time freaking Googling how to do this crap again. Um, we made it through. We finished an entire problem in an hour. But here's the
Congratulations.
problem. That is not on me. A little bit on me. But she also missed class the day they were supposed. Their teacher introduced the entire concept and gave them all the formulas. So she
Yeah, that
knew nothing about how to do this. So it was
that makes it
literally
tough.
introduce the formula, introduce what we're trying to do. This is going to equate to this in the formula. We replace this with this, so on and so forth, and then we can finally start doing the math, right? So it took forever. Meanwhile, I was like relearning it while I was teaching her. That didn't help. Anyway, I felt so bad. I like at the end, she kind of got it. It came back to me luckily, and she was starting to get it. I hope it made somewhat of sense. She said it helped, and
uh,
she was able to do. And we got an answer correct. Like we even double checked it and everything. So like obviously we did something right.
right.
And we successfully graphed it and yada yada. But man, holy fetch, the panic I felt when that came up. I was like, listen, the only math course I that my degree requires is a statistics class, which I'm currently taking, but that statistics class is more like this is how we like can find statistics and this is how we
Yeah.
read statistics. Like it's not like whipping out
Sine sine cosine
cosine,
tangent
cosine
really doesn't come into
nonsense.
statistics.
No. And like the last time I had to do that, we were able to use a graphing calculator. Like, so it's been a hot minute since I've done any of this. So that was
Wow.
stressful. Um,
Well, good work.
I also had somebody shadowing me today. So
Oh
there was like
gosh.
another level of stress to make sure they understood what I was doing and how to work the computer, where everything was. I was teaching that. It's been a day. It's been a day. So yeah, present Zach is still upset about near past Zach. But it's fine. That's my rant.
That's and you know what? That's fair. You can be upset about that. That seems fair. Um,
I don't feel like we get enough rant stories from work with Zach. We gave a lot with Sean, but I'm glad
I
I could step up today,
yeah.
really get that story out there.
The thing is, you're just like such a good person. You don't normally complain that much. You just quietly and resolutely deal with your issues and work through them with a strength and determination that is frankly inspiring to all of us. Whereas I just struggle through day by day, screaming and whining like a petulant child. So, it's great to hear that you have tough moments because it makes you feel a little more relatable to the common man.
Okay, this is wild because that bit actually kind of ties into what I want to talk about today.
Yes.
I don't know how we keep doing this. Um, so let's just transition right along.
Yeah, let's just smoothly move into it as if we didn't already call out the fact that we're transitioning and make it a little awkward by doing so. Let's
Hey,
just let's
hey,
just
hey,
dive right in.
hey! You know what, Sean? I can decide how to do my transitions however the fetch I want to. So right now, I have decided we are transitioning. Listeners, prepare to be transitioned to the next topic. You have three
And that right
seconds.
there, that's that calm, confident determination I was talking about right there. Did everybody see that? Did everybody rewind a little bit? Go back to 10 seconds, double tap your screen if you're on your phone, click the keyboard twice, whatever you need to do. Listen to that again. That was kind of amazing. All right.
I don't know if that's confidence or arrogance, but it's fine.
Uh,
Um, so today I actually wanted to talk about this idea of what we want and what we need versus what society wants us to have and what society thinks we need to have, and like where those differences kind of come into play. So
Oh,
just relating it to what you're talking about is like you just like you I forget what you said, but it was like you just suffer
it doesn't matter.
silently, basically. That
Yeah.
whole idea, that is like a very stereotypical like desire for society in our, at least our society, to have on men. I feel
Mm,
like, where it's like men shouldn't complain. Not like they're the ones who are supposed to overcome challenges no matter what, and like just and provide or whatever. Um,
yeah.
and so I hate to say it, but that is literally what I do. um, like but a lot of that doesn't really come from societal pressures for me. It more comes from I don't want anyone else to worry about me. Like
Hmm.
they already have enough problems to deal with. I don't want people to have to worry about me as well. And so like even like this semester in particular, like holy fetch, it has been so brutal for like just because I think I'm losing motivation to be in
Mm,
school, and that has just like caused me to like maybe miss an assignment or two, yada yada. That just gives me more stress. I wake up, I don't want to go to class, I don't want to do my homework, and like it's been like a really tough journey. And like but like literally, if like anybody was to ask me, oh Zach, how's school, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the same, it's fine, like no big deal. But like like I feel like I will very rarely give like an honest answer to those questions unless it was clear the person was like actually very interested. And even then, I might leave out quite a bit. Um, so I feel like that is like a need pushed by society onto men. Like this is what you are supposed to be like. Um, and so I was thinking about this a little bit, but more on the want section. Even these last couple of weeks, and I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, of that like as someone that lives in the United States, like I feel like we are supposed to want to like work hard. We're supposed to want to chase that promotion. We're supposed to want to make as much money as we can. We're supposed to want to be a consumer and go and buy all these products. And there's so many there's so many options where I'm just like, that's not at all like what I want or want for my life. Like I've already decided I don't care about making tons and tons of money as long as I have enough to like provide for me and my future family, right? Like I just want to get by somewhat comfortably. Like that's all I care about.
hmm.
Like I don't necessarily want to chase after a promotion. Like I don't feel that desire. I don't like, for me, like my wants are more like, it's like more a lot more of like a creative want. And like whereas in society, like especially right now, like creativity and like art and things like that is often pushed to like the very bottom of priorities and desires and needs. um Whereas like for me it's more like that's what I want to be doing more. Or like I want to be bettering myself or helping better other people. It's like, oh, you helped someone, you didn't add 2 extra zeros to your bank account in the last 3 years. Like or not to call out like the whole sizzle, but like I feel like there are very clear um there's a lot of like how like clear differences, I feel like, for everybody between like the want, like what we're supposed to want or need, that society puts on us, or what we actually want and what we actually need. um I rambled a lot. Do you have any like initial thoughts before I
Oh,
continue rambling?
no, I was just taking that all in, and just like feeling every word like a punch to the stomach. Like, um, yeah. Well, and I mean, I have a couple different ways I can think to go with this. I guess I'll make it personal because why not? Who cares?
We're
Um,
diving in. We're diving into
we're
the personal
we're
stuff for
diving in.
Sean.
I'm pretty sure I've talked with you about like my choices of staying in the UPS store right now. Um, and like especially right after I graduated, and even still, but like right after I graduated, you know, the natural question is just like, what are you doing next? Like, what's the next step?
Right.
Because graduation is, right? It's a step forward. And it was like, I don't know, I've talked it out with Allison, and she's still working on school full time and working full time. And it doesn't seem like a great time to try to chase a career, especially when I don't even know what that would be.
Mm.
Um, and the UPS store, while I don't necessarily like it, it gets us by. And maybe this just works for now. Um, and a lot of people, like, I would tell them not that, but like a much more boiled down version where it's just like, this was working for now, so I'm just going to stick around here for the time being. And I don't think everybody loved that. I don't know. It varied person to person, of course, but a
Sure,
lot of
sure.
times it feels like there's, like you said, there's this like there's a need for, like, I'm suddenly not fitting in their viewpoint. um and so clearly, since I'm not like taking the next step and like getting a master's degree, or I don't know, getting research hours in psychology or something like that, then I'm not doing the right thing, quote unquote.
Mm.
Um, and there's been tons of people who've been like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense," after I've explained it to them, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, you're just focusing on different values right now." So there's, both sides. But I do feel like I I totally get where you're coming from, where there's a lot of pressures that society puts on us. And I don't think, again, I guess there's a little bit of Taoism in here. I don't think necessarily society or the system is bad. I don't think it's a
Yeah, right,
bad
right.
thing. I'm not like saying we down with the system, man, or whatever.
That's what I just
But
heard.
it's like,
So
oh, okay, you take that out of context, editing, Sean. That's fine. Use that clip to censor Zach's
yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
Um. Anyway, yeah, I don't see it that way. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's just an individual's life is much more complex than a preset path,
Yes, yes.
whatever that path is. And so when you look at all of the nuances of a single life, and then all of the other lives that are a part of that single person's life and how nuanced all of those are, then it becomes a much broader web, or picture, or I guess again, not Taoism, but Buddhism. If it's a web, it's like it's the cause and effect. It's like so many things that we need to take into account. Um, and I'm reaching a point now where it's like, okay, I think it's time to take a step forward away from the UPS store. I don't know exactly what that step forward looks like, but for the time being, those past couple months, it worked out, and maybe now it's time to start shifting towards something else. It's all in flux. It's all, I don't know.
No, no, no. I fetching love what you said about like there can't be like one path for everyone, right? Or like one like one system that works for everybody. Like I feel like that you can even take that to like even like going down from like not even just like a culture, but like down to like a micro culture or a subculture. Like even those ideas or like the wants and needs that sub or microculture puts on somebody, like even that's not going to line up with somebody exactly, right? Like even down to like their like personal like fundamental level, like at the end, like every single person is an individual, right? Like
Mm,
um and they're like I just find I find it interesting that we have attempted to like create a standardized norm and then
mm,
like almost go as far as to shunning people that step outside of that norm when it's
mm,
like even like me and you, even though we have a lot of similarities, there are still loads of differences between us. um so I guess like what I wanted to come back to was this idea between how do you value personal wants and desires versus these societal wants and desires.
mm. Yeah. It's funny. even though I just barely said that I don't think that society is bad or that the system is bad by any means, but like my initial reaction to hearing you ask that question is societal wants don't matter.
No,
Which is
right. That was my thought as well. So it's like,
but that's like I can't help but think that can't be correct. That
right,
can't be because that's just swinging the pendulum to the other side, and that doesn't ever seem like that's the right answer. I feel like deep down it's I think especially for the time and the time of life we're in, where again we've talked about this, there's so many choices and we're trying to make something of ourselves and learn so much and choose to do things. I think because of that there is a great emphasis on focusing on ourselves and our path, and that is important and by design. But by doing that we can potentially block out everything else.
mm,
And that's a problem because everything else really, really matters. Because the only reason we can make the choices we're making is because there is a system in place to help us along the way.
right, right.
Even when that system sometimes does feels like it's fighting against us and we can do different things from it, it's still there to kind of push you along.
Right. And then like I can, especially like I can like I feel like because like obviously even as I was talking about like the societal norms and one thing can't fit for everybody. Like even at the same time, I was like, yes, but you have to have these norms, one to maintain some sort resemblance of order, but also just to give people a direction.
Mm.
Um, even that's just like, okay, well, we value education, so let's have people go through school. Like obviously people's paths through school and education will be different, but I wouldn't say we should get rid of education or school, right? So like there definitely is like a place for all of this. But at the same time, sometimes it does seem like it fights against sometimes what maybe you feel is a more important desire or want, right? Um,
Maybe, maybe, maybe the problem is, and you can tell me if you disagree with this, but maybe the problem is the idea of labeling the system as having as having like specific values. Now, I don't know how to say this correctly. Let me think. So, personal values are what ultimately is going to guide a person. I think that's worth saying, right?
yeah, sure.
Ultimately, even if you spend most of your life just kind of going with the flow and doing what people assume you should do, eventually something within you will pull you toward what you want to do or what you think you need to do, right? Um, I think maybe the issue comes in the idea that the societal or the system's values, okay, here we go, the system's values should not take precedent over personal ones, but they should still exist to help a guide.
Hmm.
Maybe.
No, I kind of like that. I was just thinking because like obviously I was thinking like, well, I would argue to some extent that um our personal values and wants and desires and ultimately lead to the societal norm in some way. It's like a
Ah,
collective of individualized values. So it's difficult for me to say like almost like it's like okay, so like if this is the and like I feel like we can see this change over time, especially like just like with like last generation, like the last couple of generations of like what the different generations like prioritize or value or how they act, things like this, right? Like maybe
mm,
people in the past were super traditionalist, and now people are like, uh, kind of moving away from that and like trying to become like their own person, things like that, right? Um,
mm.
or even like certain views on like political issues or whatnot. Um, so I feel like maybe the question, like my question is does do these individualized this collective um group of values from individuals, is that simply, does that come from the masses, and can people be left out of that?
Mm, yeah. No, I think you've hit on something very important there. I think you're right. I think because when we call something societal values, it seems to separate it from ourselves, which is impossible because
Mm,
we are part of society.
right.
So you're right. It is a group. It's a bunch of individual values all coming together. I think you're probably right that some get left out. In fact, many get left out, especially as times change. And even without times changing, you're going back to your example at the beginning of like men, like society creating this idea that men should just like suffer silently and do what they need to do, right? That's a value that the system created, um, but that value is exactly opposite of what, I don't know, humans need. um,
Right, right.
so it's interesting. So the societal values can, on one hand, just leave people behind, but on the other hand, they can also create things that are almost just wrong. I'm willing to say that. I don't know if it's always or even necessarily often, but I think that you can definitely see that throughout them, that there are problems and issues and they need to get worked out. And that's probably, like you said, just as times change and things progress, that those things change or progress or begin to be noticed more as their effect reaches more and more people.
Wow. That was nice, Sean.
Yeah.
You said some intellectual words today.
I don't know if I did, man. I like finished that sentence and it was like shutting down. Just like smoke boiling out of my ear like
I just did to you what I went through early. It was like you thought you would come to Spice Nuggets gonna have a nice chill
oh,
chat about nothing, and then you had to BS crap on the spot.
dude, I am exhausted.
As you should be, because talking with me probably is exhausting.
It
I,
is because and you know why it is, Zach? It's because your mind is so difficult to keep up with. It's like an ever expanding it's like the ever expanding universe, like trying to understand even one minute corner. Even though you can grasp it to its fullest degree, you'll never fully conceive the grandiosity of everything else going on.
oh, I
That's
know.
Zach's brain.
I
Just
know.
to reiterate, that's your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever, man.
I've been waiting for an intellectual equal for years. And I'm still waiting. So, guys, if anybody's out there who wants to start a podcast and talk about actually intelligent things, hit me up. I can't. Sean, you're beautiful. You're a college graduate. You are the
Debatable.
smartest one here, and I will say though, I kind of came into this with like a half a thought that like I've been kind of pondering over. Like we're just driving in the car, but like never like went too deep into it. But I think we had some good discussion there. I'm pleased with where it went.
I'm kind of terrified of some of the things I said, and I really don't know if I'm willing to like die on the hill I stood up on. But
Oh no, no, no! Everything Sean said in this episode was a 100% belief that he has pondered for many nights. He has a firm foundation in this, and you cannot move him from this opinion.
that's true. As long as by you say cannot move, you mean kind of like when we would play that game in elementary school on the wiggly board. You know what I'm talking
The
about? Try to
wiggly board.
throw
Oh, the wiggly board! Holy
just
bitch! I forgot
literally a
about the wiggly
like a
board.
platform on springs, just a thin
Dude,
platform
I
on
was
springs. We
so
try to throw each
bad
other
at
off,
that thing. Sean always won.
and Yeah, I was really good, which is why I liked to do it. It affirmed how good I was
See,
at
here's the thing.
everything.
I really enjoyed it, but I knew Sean needed a little bit of something, a little bit to help him with his confidence in his day-to-day life. And so I was like, you know what, if I could give Sean something, let it be this. Let it
Wow.
be the wiggly board.
Man, Zag is just he's so altruistic. I can't man, I'm just you know what? After all of this, like just it's so funny. We started this episode talking about how we did nothing but insult each other and ended by like a compliment war. And I'm just gonna like add in the clip from ASDF movie where it's the moon. It's like, hey, you two should kiss.
I love that. And with that thought fresh on the listener's mind, thank you all so much for watching. I'm still Zach. And
And I'm still
we'll see you
shy.
next time.
Bye bye.
Down the system, man. Down the system. Down the system. Down the system. The man. Down the system. Down the system. Down the system. The man. Down the system. Down the system. Down the system. The man.
We're live.
Don't panic! Don't panic! We're okay! I'm scared! I'm scared! I'm scared! Zach, what do we do? I've never done this before.
Sean,
Don't
just-
tease me, it's my first time!
Just speak words. They
Words.
don't have to be intellectual words. They just have to be
Intellectual
words,
words.
to fill the time. It's all that
You know-
matters.
In my nihilism class, this is gonna be a very dark turn from what you just said. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm ready
was-
for it.
I was thinking about this earlier, and what you just said reminded me of it.
You're welcome.
We read like a very short stage play, called "Waiting for Godot," a tragic comedy in 2 acts. So like
Oh, wow.
a 2 act play, and it was pretty boring, if I'm being honest. A lot of the humor just didn't really hit for me. Maybe it's because I was reading it. Maybe I would have thought it was funny.
There
if I
was
actually saw
enough
the play.
fart jokes, was there?
Nah, there wasn't. Actually, there might have been. But I don't know. Most of it just didn't hit for me. But like basically the whole point of the play is there's two characters just like talking about how they're waiting for someone named Godot. They don't know what happens when he gets there. They just know things are going to change once he gets there, and they just come to the same place every single day and wait for him.
Okay.
And they basically just confuse themselves. They're complete idiots, and just different things happen throughout. But like as they're waiting, they'll talk about like, oh, I want to go do this. No, we need to wait here. We need to wait for Godot. Oh, but I'm so bored. I'm hungry. Let me go do something else. And one of the things eventually throughout the play that they'll come back to every now and then is they'll be like, oh man, we should just like kill ourselves. And they'd be like, I guess it would pass the time. So it was like this concept that like what they were doing was so worthless that like killing yourself wasn't even like a meaningful act. It was just something to do.
Wow.
I know. Sorry.
Okay. Here's my question though. Did Godot ever show up?
No.
I didn't think
No.
so.
And that's the point. Yeah. No. That's the exact point. You have other characters show up and do things with them, but no, Godot never shows up. It's unclear if Godot is even real.
Mm.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's our joke for the end of the episode.
With that, I'm sorry, listeners.
I'm not.